You found it. It's The Real News with your host, David Knight.
We're going to do a report on it. David Knight just ran in here, who does the morning show, does a great job from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And he just ran in here and he said, man, my wife just called me. She watches you and us on Facebook on the live streams there because it's a little bit better quality than our streams. And he said, you're hard limited to 200 viewers. Now, let's go ahead and click on that so we can specifically show them the player. That is 222. You are hard-coded there. Now, normally there's 10,000 just on that stream alone. And that's not a big part of our audience. It's the archives. It's the other live shows, special events. Most people listen on their local radio station, or they watch on our streams or listen to the audio streams, or they get the podcast later. And we're on 4 different streams on Facebook as well. But the main one that has millions and millions of likes has it limited down, depending on the browser, to a couple hundred people.
David Knight here. I've been sick for a couple of days. My wife likes to look and see how many views I've got going on. And she told me after the end of the show, she said, I was really amazed at how low your view counts were on Facebook. They were about 1/5 of what they typically are. But she said, I started watching Alex and his were no better. They're hard limiting us to right around 200 view counts, which is way more than 1/5 of what Alex gets, or way less, I should say, than 1/5 of what Alex typically gets. This is because of the subject that we're covering. I'm telling you, folks, this is because we're pushing back against this move to rush into war against Syria. As I was putting this together, talking about how we're being throttled on Facebook, and to give you an idea, typically I'll get like 800 or 900 views on Facebook. Today I got between 194 and 252. Alex's was throttled within a very narrow range of 228 to 233. It's ridiculously low in the first place. In the second place, the fact that those numbers are not changing very much, even when he's got Nigel Farage on live, tells you something. So as I'm putting this together, I get an email from somebody who says, I was watching your show and it kept cutting off, the stream kept cutting off on me as I was watching it. And then I got a message from YouTube, not from Facebook, but from YouTube, saying, after manually reviewing your video, we've confirmed it isn't suitable for advertisers. Your video remains playable. Well, I talked about Syria today, and I played clips of the Facebook congressional hearings, congressmen asking questions of Zuckerberg and so forth. There was nothing controversial in that. There was nothing that would put off any advertisers, unless they're only advertisers are the people who make long-range or medium-range missiles. Maybe that's what it is, a military-industrial complex. But here's the email that I got from YouTube. So what's going on with this? Well, you know that they're trying to throttle this. We've talked about how it's been the tactic of the American empire since the early 20th century. Remember the Maine. You should remember the Maine. You should remember what happened with that. How they used a false flag attack. And of course, they didn't blow up their own ship. It was an accident, according to Admiral Rickover, who went back and investigated this, and others said, look, this exploded because of a problem within the ship. But they used it to say that the Spanish sunk the ship, the USS Maine. They used that as a pretext for war. We saw it, of course, in the Gulf of Tonkin. That's what most people alive today would remember. Look at the excellent documentary, The Fog of War by Errol Morris, where he talks to Robert McNamara. And McNamara admits it didn't happen. It was a total lie that they used to sell this war. But we don't even come up with lies like that anymore. We just have to sell the president, or the prime minister has to push it, or Nikki Haley has to push it. And they're selling you lies about these so-called chemical attacks. Mattis himself, Secretary of Defense, said, no, didn't happen in 2013, didn't happen in 2017. That was just a year ago when President Trump immediately fired missiles into Syria. His own Secretary of Defense said the gas attack did not happen. And yet Theresa May, Nikki Haley, and others are saying, well, this is a continuous pattern of chemical attacks. It isn't. You have to have this message spread about, and you're going to have to do this manually because they're throttling us on YouTube, on Twitter, everywhere. Facebook, they don't want this message to be heard. Now, you, of course, can hear this if you go to radio. We still have a lot of radio affiliates. We have TV stations. You can go to Infowars.com/show to watch our shows. You can also download podcasts. I'm on TuneIn, I'm on Stitcher, on Spreaker, on iTunes. You can download those podcasts. You can get the information. You're going to have to pass it around manually, and they're probably going to try to subvert that as well. It's absolutely amazing to see how this is happening, but when we just look at what they're doing with gun control, what is the justification for shutting down ads, for shutting down broadcasts? They say, well, we can't have AR-15s out there in your hands because those are military weapons. It's just too dangerous. And we got Bank of America saying they're going to shut down any financial dealings with any manufacturers. They're going to try to cut them off financially, anybody that manufactures an AR-15. But, oh, you want to go to war? Let's go for it. Absolutely have a war. You want to say, oh, 40 people were killed in a chemical attack. Well, I don't think that happened. There's a lot of evidence that it hasn't happened. Nobody has said that it happened except for the Islamic Jihadi army and the white helmets that are allied with them. The Red Crescent, the Syrian hospital there in the area, said nothing like that happened. But let's not take the time to investigate it. Let's just rush in and attack. But when they talk about 40 people who died, okay, that means that we've got to have a war. But if you've got 500,000 people who have died over a civil war that we began for regime change, oh, we need to have more of that. And so I played clips from Nigel Farage talking about how this makes absolutely no sense. We shouldn't be going into this. Ron Paul, Tucker Carlson, Sarah Palin, everybody who is conservative, who's libertarian, is pushing back against this. The Republican wing, that is neocon, is pushing very hard for this. We had John Bolton start in the Trump administration on the Monday after this supposed attack on a Saturday. Pompeo is going through hearings right now. They are going to be pushing for this. These are the people who are the architects of things like the Iraq War. And we've seen where this leads. As Nigel Farage said, what is going to happen if we do regime change there? Well, we're going to wind up with a situation like we had in Libya. That's precisely what's going to happen. It's just going to be more chaos, more war, more breeding ground for terrorists, which is what Libya has become. We don't want to see this happen. You have to pick up the ball and run with this. You have to get on social media, share this however you can. You're going to have to dig for our content. You have to understand they're throttling it, but we can get past this, and we have to get past this. We don't want to see a war happen. We don't want to see American lives wasted. We want to see America put first. Let's stop bombing the infrastructure of other countries. Let's start building our infrastructure. Let's stop patrolling other borders. Let's patrol our border and protect our country. For InfoWars, I'm David Knight.
Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue fluoride-free products. InfoWars Life brings you a revolutionary toothpaste blend with iodine and nano silver designed to deliver a powerful clean. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil or try our bubblegum flavor. Pair this groundbreaking toothpaste with the Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and supercharge your oral health. Our amazing mouthwash features natural oils and ancient ingredients used since Aboriginal and biblical times. Instead of containing fluoride, our Super Blue line is loaded with the good halogen iodine and an array of other beneficial compounds that have been hand-selected for their oral health benefits. Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and toothpaste are the first and only to contain all of these natural ingredients: xylitol, nano silver, and iodine. Notice the difference with our Super Blue fluoride-free products. Refresh your breath and invigorate your oral health routine at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com.